Hello folks, welcome to the channel. My name is Jon, and this week we're just gonna take a quick look at Slapchop and Zenithal and stuff like that. Now, this will be a quick video this week, as I am a busy guy. I would love to paint more and add a video every week, but sadly that is not the case, at least at this point in time. Hopefully in the future I will have a little bit more time to paint something more for you and show you more of my process and various maybe tips that I might have. But for this week we are going to take a look at Slapchop, which I have not used before, but it's been going around for a few months, maybe a year, something like that, and I wanted to take a look at it. I'm also gonna be contrasting that a little bit with Zenithal priming and also a mixture of the two. At the end of the video I might have a small announcement, you might call it that, or just a general mention about a little bit that's happening in the future, which I am fairly excited for. But for now, let's take a look at these two different ways to paint quickly and see what we can see from it. The first thing we're going to do is use Slapchop, and I am going for a real difficult contrast look here. I'm using only 3 paints for all these examples, a black primer, a white paint, and then I will be using Imperial Fist's contrast paint over it. Now you might think rightly that a yellow contrast paint over which will have quite a lot of black primer will look terrible, and you would be correct. However, that is perfectly fine in this case, because I'm trying to see the benefits of this and furthermore see the drawbacks of it. And if we get these disgusting looking things, we can see where the faults of each method is, and we can think about ways to correct it. Let's start with a basic Slapchop thing. I will be using Space Marines for all these examples. They are pretty similar in all regards. The only difference is how I will paint them. The same paints, the same look, everything is the same. Starting with the first one, he has the dark primer on him, and I am doing a hefty dry brush of white on top of it. Now, there will be a lot of black showing because we want this contrasty look, and of course you could do it a lot smoother with a bigger brush or something like that, but I don't know if that's even gonna help you that much, especially with the yellow. Once all this white dry brushing is done, it's time to put some contrast paint on and see what we can get out of it. I'm trying to do this as neatly as possible over this weird undercoat for this color, and that means basically I'm just putting the paint on, dragging it a little bit and then leaving it to dry, to decrease all likelihood of some streaking or something like that, because we want this to look perfectly well and we want to see what it looks like. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this does not look that good at all. I'm not a fan of the look of it. It has a lot of drawbacks. There's a lot of streaking here and there. The contrast paint over the black and the white is a little bit stark, and well, the yellow doesn't work really well with the black now, does it? However, we could always fix this by using maybe a pink undertone, as is quite common to use under the yellow because it gives it a warm orangey feeling, and then maybe a softer dry brush of maybe a bone white or something like that, just catching all the ridges and stuff like that. Then we get maybe a warmer tone, but it might be a little bit too orange. You could always dry brush a little bit more and try to do it softer, and you could have something that is worth the while. But you can see on this figure that there are quite stark contrast when you're doing it like this. Maybe on a Space Marine it's not the best idea. He has soft surfaces. He has straight lines, the shoulder pads and everything like that. It's curved and it's quite smooth. On an animal or something with fur or maybe zombies, this might work out a lot better. But in this case, I don't think I am a fan of Slapchop. I will have to try it more, of course, in the future, but this is not for me. as is. But of course, like I said, I'm using quite a difficult surface to work on. It's smooth. I'm doing a rough dry brush, and I'm using yellow over black, which is never going to be a good idea. But you can see where the faults are. And that's what I wanted to see. See where I would have to focus if I was going to add it. And it's the smoothness between the dark and the light that I would really have to focus. Also, another idea, a dark gray, dry brushed with a lighter gray. And then finally, just a tint of white on the edges and then contrast over. Who knows, that might actually look good. But this, I would have to give it a minus a bunch over nothing. But let's see how I would usually do this. Of course, I'm still using the same paints, and yellow or black is still an issue. But I'm doing quite a hefty amount of Zenithal over top the black in this case. And therefore, we are using the contrast more over white paint, but we will get a little bit of a deeper shadow. However, what we are missing from this, what we get from the Slapchop method, is the darker lines in between the armor panels and everything like that, because the paint will, of course, seep into it, especially on the top parts, and therefore we are getting a quite decent enough yellow paint, but we're not getting any detail from it, and that's the idea with Slapchop. So again, I feel like this is good, but you have a lot of extra steps afterwards, so not really a good fix to paint things more quickly. Another idea that I had was to mix the two together. I'm going to start with the black primer as per usual, and I'm going to do a soft Zenithal. Just a little spurt here and there, get some gray tones going, maybe a little bit of white, but I'm leaving a lot of shadows, and I'm leaving a lot of depth here and there. And also, it's not pure white in this case. It's a little bit of black tone in it from the actual paint. This was in my airbrush, but also just thinned it out very well. So we get a little bit more of a smooth look to it. I felt optimistic at this point that this might actually look nice. Next, I did the Slapchop thing. But again, toned down, trying to mix the two so I get the lines and all the deeper creases that you get with the Slapchop that will keep the darkness going there, but also the smoothness of the Zenithal. So now I did a very soft dry brush, just trying to catch edges. And I think this might look better. It is, of course, 2 steps instead of 1. And you are basically using the method that is simple with the airbrush and the method that is simple and easy with the Slapchop. And you are elongating the process, which is maybe not what you want, because you want to get this done quickly. But this is one little extra step, and you can do it with a rattle can. I would just use a gray rattle can over top black instead of a white on top of black, and then do the soft dry brush of white. I was optimistic until I put the yellow on. And it has most of the roughness that we got from the original Slapchop method, which I was not a fan of. And it was at least a little bit smoother than the Slapchop method, but not nearly as smooth as the Zenithal method. So again, I felt iffy about it. I'm not a fan of any of these 3 models as is, as I only painted the yellow on. I would have to do a lot of extra steps to get them to look at least halfway decent. Again, I was thinking maybe the best thing to do is have the undertone somewhere similar or contrasting with the contrast paint, like the pink under the yellow or purple under light blue or something like that. Or just not do this for light armor or lighter characters unless you know what you're going to focus on, what you want your shadow tone to be. Black and white, and then just a light color over top, like this yellow or light green or something like that. It's not going to pan out, in my opinion. This, of course, is the first time for me to use Slapchop. Not a fan of it, to be honest. And I've used Zenithal many times, but I use it as a basis to work from, not as the actual idea. You can get quite good tones and good value with this, but there are maybe some extra steps you might want to take to make it look really good. And of course, some extra steps will always elongate the painting process, and this is to paint things quickly. However, sometimes a few extra minutes can be well worth it. Now, the little announcement-y thingy I want to make. The problem is, this summer I will be quite busy. As I am a busy guy, I have many hobbies. This is one of the longest-serving hobbies, but I do have more. I am quite a lot into Viking reenactment, and I will be doing a little bit of sword fighting and stuff like that over the summer, and that will keep me a little bit busy. Also, I have a large family as per usual, not that many holidays. I've been taking them here and there over the past few weeks and months, so not that much left for me to really do a deep dive into something. But over the summer, it might not be every week, it might not even be every fortnight, it might be 3 weeks in between. There will be videos, but I will just release them when they are ready, when I have time to do them, and hopefully you will have enough patience for my lack of productivity in this field to come back and check them out when they do come. However, in the autumn, there will be something fun going around. Here in Iceland, in September, there will be Midgard. It's a conference. It's not Comic-Con, but it's in that milieu. There's all types of nerdery going on there. There will be Warhammer, there will be miniatures, there's board games, there's D&D, there's cosplay, there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's really fun. If you're in Iceland, definitely go to Midgard. It's gonna be a huge blast. And if you're not in Iceland, maybe think about doing a little trip. Come visit us. Check out Midgard. It's quite fun. I will have Midgard, the Facebook page for them, linked in the description, and by all means, do take a look at it. The thing about this, though, is that I've been in communications with the hosts of Midgard and the planners, and we have come to the conclusion that I'm going to have a workshop, a miniature painting workshop at Midgard. It's going to be great fun. We have yet to put the final signature and everything on everything, so we're still in the discussion phase on how we want to do this, but it is happening, and I am quite excited about it. What also makes me excited about it is that I reached out to CreatureCaster about supplying a miniature for this, and they were all in and were quite excited, and that made me even more excited. Now, I've been going back and forth with them, we've been discussing things, and I hope that in the future I might have something more interesting to put forth in relations to CreatureCaster, which make really dynamic and interesting figures that I wholeheartedly recommend you to check out, and they are of course linked down in the description as well. Now that's all for the big announcement, really. If you want to come to Midgard, by all means do. It's gonna be great fun. You can come to my workshop if you want to, and hopefully you will enjoy that as well. We are still going over what actual figure we will be using from CreatureCaster, but suffice to say, it's gonna be great because the whole line is pretty awesome. For now, this is all from me. Thank you very much for joining me here today. There are links in the description, both for Midgard, CreatureCaster, my Patreon, various things. By all means, check them out. But until next time, farewell.